Hi everyone, in this video we will talk about how to solve equations using radicals, and we are going to do 4 examples. First of all, let's solve the square root of x plus 3 equals 9. Notice x plus 3 is all inside the square root. Also notice that it is a square root, so your index is a 2 there, even though you don't usually write it. Since the radical is all by itself on the left side of the equation, and the index is 2, we are going to raise both sides of the equation to a power of 2. When we do that, the square and the square root are going to cancel each other out, and we are left with x plus 3 equals 9 squared, which is 81. And now we want to get x by itself, so let's subtract 3 on both sides to get an answer of x equals 78. But wait, that's not all. We really do need to check our answers for these because sometimes we can do all the math right and still get an answer that doesn't work in the original problem. So I'm going to take the 78 and put it back in to the original problem. We started with the square root of x plus 3, put the 78 where the x was. So we have a square root of 78 plus 3, and we're wondering, question mark, does that equal 9? Because that's what we had to start with. Well, 78 plus 3 is 81, and the square root of 81 does in fact equal 9, which means that x equals 78 is the correct answer. Okay, let's go do another problem, a little bit more challenging here. Here we have the third root of 2x minus 1, then a plus 6 after the root, all of which equals 11. To start, you want to get the radical by itself. Right now, this plus 6 is on the left side of the equal sign, but it is not under the radical. So let's start by moving the 6 to the other side by subtracting 6 from both sides. That means you are left with the third root of 2x minus 1 equals 11 minus 6, which is equal to 5. Now, since you have a third root, we want to raise both sides of the equation to the power of 3 because your index of 3 and your power of 3 cancel each other out. So that means you have 2x minus 1, no more radical with it, equals 5 to the third, which is not 15, 5 to the third, which is 125. And now we just need to get x by itself. So let's add 1 to both sides, which leaves you with 2x equals 126. Divide both sides by 2, which gives you an answer of x equals 63, which is probably your correct answer, but you really do need to check in the original problem to make sure that it actually does work. So the original problem was the third root of 2x minus 1 plus 6 equals 11. We have to take that 63, substitute it for the x, which means we have 2 times 63 minus 1 plus 6 equals 11, question mark. We're wondering, does that equal 11? Most times it does, but not always. We do have to check. We've got the third root of, if you multiply 2 times 63 minus 1, you get 125. Plus 6 after the square root, does that equal 11? Well, yes, the third root of 125 is 5, and 5 plus 6 does equal 11, so that means your answer of 63 is the correct answer. Okay, a little bit trickier for our last two problems. We look at this and say, hey, it looks easier. And you're right to an extent. First of all, you have to get the radical by itself. Right now, only the 3x is inside of the radical, but the negative 4 is on the left side, so you have to move the negative 4 to the other side by adding 4 to both sides. That means you have the square root of 3x equals negative 6, because negative 10 plus 4 equals negative 6. Now, since your index is 2, we just don't write that 2 when it's a square root, we have to raise both sides of the equation to the power of 2. We do that because a radical with an index of 2 and then a power of 2 cancel each other out. So we have 3x equals a negative 6 squared. Notice the negative 6 is in parentheses, so that means we have negative 6 times negative 6, which is positive 36. To get x by itself, we divide both sides by 3, which gives you an answer of x equals 12. But before you say that's your final answer, what do we have to do? Well, we really do have to check in the original problem. We started with the square root of 3x minus 4 after the square root equals negative 10. Take the 12, substitute it for the x, which leaves you the square root of 3 times 12. Minus 4 after the square root equals negative 10. So we have the square root of 36 minus 4 equals negative 10. Question, is that true? Well, square root of 36 is 6. Does 6 minus 4 equal negative 10? No, of course not. 6 minus 4 does not equal negative 10. So that means we did all the math right, but our answer, the x equals 12, did not work. And since that's the only answer we got, that really means there is no solution. So this third problem we're doing really has no solution, which means you really do need to check. One last problem, it's the hardest of the bunch. We notice first that the square root is by itself on the left side, so that's good. Your index is 2, so we'll want to raise both sides to the power of 2, because that's going to cancel out the square root and the square, which leaves us with a 44 minus 4x equals on the left side. And you say, wait, x minus 3 in parentheses being squared? That really means you have x minus 3 times the quantity of x minus 3. What do you have to do with this? Well, you have to multiply it or FOIL it, we say. So when we FOIL x minus 3 times x minus 3, we get x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus 9, and it is a positive 9 because a negative 3 times a negative 3 is a positive 9. If we combine like terms, we end up with 44 minus 4x equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. And now you have to remember how to solve this. Let's start by getting it equal to 0 because we have an x squared. That means we're going to want to make it equal to 0 so that we can factor it and solve it. Let's subtract 44 on both sides, and let's also add 4x to both sides because that will end up with a 0 on the left side of the equation, which means we have 0 equals x squared minus 2x minus 35. Now we have to, it's the other F word, not FOIL, but factor. Since this trinomial starts with a 1, we can go straight to your binomials. We've got two parentheses. They are both going to start with an x. And to figure out what numbers go in the blank, you have to finish the number puzzle. find two numbers that multiply to negative 35, because 1 times negative 35 is negative 35, and those same two numbers have to add up to be the number in the middle, which is not 2, but negative 2. The negative goes with the number after it. The numbers that are solution to the puzzle are going to be a negative 7 and a positive 5. So put those into your binomials, and we therefore have 0 equals the quantity x minus 7 times the quantity of x plus 5. If we remember what we did a while ago, we have to set both factors equal to 0 and solve, which means you have x minus 7 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. Add 7 to both sides, and you get x equals 7 is one of your answers. Subtract 5 from both sides, and you get x equals negative 5 is your other answer. But you say, wait a moment, like we learned in the previous question, we still need to check our answers. Here we got two answers, we need to check both of them. So if we check the x equals 7, we started out with a 44 minus 4x inside of a square root equal to x minus 3. We have to take that 7, substitute it for both of the x's, which means we have a square root of 44 minus 4 times 7 equals question mark 7 minus 3. You have to multiply before you subtract, so we have 44 minus 28 inside of a square root equals 7 minus 3, which is 4. Square root of 44 minus 28 is 16, so we have square root of 16 equals 4. It sure does. So that means our answer of x equals 7 really does work. But that doesn't tell us anything about the other answer. We could have two answers. We could have only one of them work, or if I gave you a totally different problem, we might get two answers and neither of them works. But let's check this second solution by plugging a negative 5 in for both x's. That means you would have square root of 44 minus 4 times 5. Nope, sorry, 4 times negative 5 equals negative 5 minus 3, which means you have a square root of 44 plus 20, because a negative 4 times a negative 5 is a positive 20. And we're wondering, question, does that equal negative 8? Well, does the square root of 64 equal negative 8? No, it doesn't. Square root of 64 is a positive 8, not a negative 8. So what does that mean? That means that x equals negative 5 is not an answer. So the only answer that works for this problem is x equals 7. That's all I have for this video. Hope you learned something. Have a good day. Take care, and bye.